Folks, last time we talked about a lot about Iqbal, and I will just end up saying that we need to remove Iqbal and Maudoodi. Today we'll talk about Maudoodi. He was the most corrupt mullah, called himself alim and a scholar, created by India, by Indian Islamic ideology. And he was against the creation of Pakistan, and he was also competing with Iqbal to head different Muslim organizations, whereby the people, they make those organizations and then collect chanda or money or contribution from rich people of the country in the name of religion. He competed with Iqbal in Lahore, and he was not successful, and he was probably very sad about it. That is why when Pakistan was created, he came to Pakistan. Although he hated this country, he opposed this country, and he used to call Qaid Azam as Kafir Azam. And they said the people of Muslim League, they are not Muslim. They are not Muslim enough to establish Islamic state or Muslim state. His idea was that a Muslim state can only be run by gang of mullahs, like Muhammad and later his associates. But we saw even in 7th century, Muhammad's family failed, and rightfully so, because if they had succeeded, if Ali had been made caliph, or later Hussein or Hassan has been made caliph, the Arab Empire will be no more, because the mullah has very limited window of thinking. They don't do business, they are not in politics, they are not in administration. They just put people in praying and rewards and punishment and hereafter and this Jannah and that Jahannam and all that nonsense. But the Umayyads also, they were Muslim and equally Muslim, I believe. They were warriors, they were administrators, and they were traders. That is why they defeated Ali on all fronts. Politically, he was left alone, and later he was killed by his own people because he disappointed them. While the Umayyads playing very great politics to save the empire, they were successful, and then they expanded their empire to many more million square miles. And that was a great achievement of a family who was a trader, a warrior, and administrator. They established a system which was not established by Muhammad or the four caliphs. They established a system whereby they worked with minorities, Christians. They compromised with Roman Empire and also the whatever Persians were left, and anybody around them, as long as they don't harm or attack them. And that way they were able to run the caliphate for almost 100 years. After that, because the Umayyad policies were pretty good, but they were racist and they were definitely sexist and all those negative aspects which people hate today. But in those days, they used it for almost 100 years, and then later they were overthrown, and the Abbasids came. And the Abbasids also did reasonably good, but not as good as Umayyads, and they still kept the same racist mentality where Arabs were supreme. So in Pakistan, when we see this 7th to century Arab world, and the people who actually write hundreds and thousands of books on them as if they were very pious people and Allah was with them and their empire was very good, everybody was getting justice and all that nonsense. The fact is, it was an absolute racist organization or government. That is why we saw different groups coming up, Shias, Sufis, other gangs of Shias and all that. and they propped up, and then they weakened the empire, and later on that empire was demolished by Mongol. So Maududi in Pakistan wanted to get a ruler or administrators who have Islamic mind, appreciating the 7th century stupidity. Now Arabs failed, and Arabs today, I believe, realize that they were not doing the right thing in those centuries. That's why they were never successful to continue their power. One empire after another, one family after another, and every power change was done through killing. Not even a peaceful transfer of power ever happened. And that is still happening today. That in Arab world, you won't see a peaceful transfer of power. You will see kings, you will see dictators, and they will only be overthrown by either beheading or made to run. And as we saw in Iran, Shah of Iran was made to run, and then later a mullah gang took it over, and then they destroyed a great country in Middle East. But they put the Islamic system where the caliph cannot be removed until he breathes his last, where women have no rights, where minorities have no rights. So today we see Iran in such a stupid and destructive position that in 1979 we had one Iranian Toman, like 5 or 6 Iranian Turan were $1. Today almost 70, 80,000, and sometime it goes to 120,000 depending on the political situation. And Iran is really the poorest country in Middle East today. Although they produce almost 2 3 million oil and they sell it in black market, they are not getting any benefits out of it. And the government has no right to anybody. That is why there cannot be any job creation. So the Maududi's idea and the other mullah's idea was to make Iran like a Islami something something. Now the Islamic name was added to Pakistan's name, which was against a big mistake. But from the time Maududi came, he settled in Lahore, and since he hated Iqbal, he started spoiling the mind of Lahori youngs. From all over Punjab, we see they influenced through Islamic Jamaat Tulba, where they distributed them little booklet to read weekly or every day, and they were all full of lies. And then the type of fake drama which he created about his personality. Like, for example, his claim that when he was in the womb of his mother, one of his uncle came to his father and said, "Your next son will be a great Islamic helper or Islamic scholar." Or one day that when he was going for a Hajj, I don't know, he probably did one Hajj or two, but he said that when he went and met a Saudi or a Buddha, he asked him how you are making your ends meet. So the Buddha said, "It's all because of Allah. Today I was hungry and God sent you, and now we're eating together." So these kind of stupidities and these kind of fake claims, making 7th century barbarian some kind of pious people, and then asking Pakistani youngs to follow them, and the Pakistani mothers should give birth to Khalid bin Walid and Umar bin Khattab type of people. He had no idea what the world is today. Even in 1950s, the world was changing rapidly, and this guy was stuck in 7th century, and he spoiled and brainwashed the young Pakistani people, and he was working with military to create jihadis and jihadi mentality. And then in 1953, I believe he created a revolt against the government on the issue of Qadianis. He hated Qadianis because Saudis hated Qadianis. Qadianis believe in decentralized religion, which practically was there. In India, we had many religion under many sect. Every country has many religion under many sect. But Saudi gang, who is the gang of Wahhabis and the killers, they give money to this guy and said we have to propagate that we have to get united and we have to have Eid on the same day and we are Muslims and if we have an issue, we should go to Mecca and solve it. And that mentality and the hate against Qadianis created a big revolt, and almost a couple of thousand people died in Lahore. Government catch him and put him on trial, and he was convicted to die. But later, the Saudis put pressure on Pakistani government, and his life was spared. But at the same time, the military was already in politics. They came and ran Lahore for few months or few weeks, and then they got the taste of the blood of civilians. They thought that this is a good idea. We have gun, we can take over this country. And that is the main purpose of GHQ at that time. And then they used Maudoodi to create all kind of people for the government, and they supported Islami Jamaat Tulba, who was a bunch of young, stupid kids who had no idea what this world is about. I mean, we saw them in different colleges where they were always talking about Allah, Muhammad, and Umar was like this, and Usman was like this, and all that nonsense. Without reading the Arab history, that was the darkest time of Arab Peninsula because everybody was attacked and forced to either convert or leave the peninsula. I mean, what kind of ideology who proposes you to attack towns in the middle of the night, take their women, their kids, their camels, and be proud of it? This is actually what Maudoodi did. And he really was such a hypocrite that his own son video is on the internet where he said कि हम जब भी जाते थे तो अब्बा हमसे पूछते थे वहाँ क्यों आए, तुम्हारा वहाँ क्या काम? And he put his sons for higher education. He sent one of his son for to be doctor in America, I believe, and he's still there, where ultimately this mullah died. He loved America so much that he didn't prefer to die in America like all the other generals. These people, they use the poor men's kids and tell them, oh, death is beautiful. If you die, you get 72 big-breasted houris, and Muhammad will be embarrassing you, and he will give you everything free, and you will have great power in sex. So they were used to create terrorists from GHQ and ISI, who were later sent to Kashmir in 1965, and then the 65 war happened. And then whenever this party took part in election, 1970 or 1971, he lost miserably, and then the people of Pakistan, they totally rejected him like always. The people have always rejected them because the majority of people of Pakistan, they know the mullah is nothing but a crook. He has no idea. Maudoodi never ran a business. He never, as a matter of fact, took a job. Even never went to a regular madrasa education. But he started writing these stupid Arab stories from Arab history or from Hadith and started making big deal out of it and then tried to impress Pakistanis and tell them, you are nothing. The great people, they already passed in 7th century. Little he know that when Arabs were writing Quran, people in India were writing philosophies. When they were compiling a book, which Al-Razi, the great physician, said that this is a hodgepodge book. This is a book you cannot get any meaning out of it. It has so many mistakes, so many blunders. And you tell me that produce a book like this? As a matter of fact, I can produce thousands of books like this, which will be better than this book. This is coming from a Muslim philosopher. and he knew that all the mullahs who are using this book to suppress the poor or disallow them any opportunity is a biggest crime, is a crime against humanity. But he had no power because back then the caliphs and the mullahs they worked together. Mullahs were writing hadith, sunnah, sharia, all just to support the caliph, so the caliph power remains intact. That's why they put a clause that the caliph cannot be removed even if he is breathing. Unless he breathes last, then whoever he appointed will be the next caliph. That is the kind of mentality Maudoodi's and his likes created. And they were the main reason why we have a mentality and a gutter culture in Pakistan, where no human value was left intact. Before Pakistan was created, this area where Pakistan is today was very liberal. People were living together. Hindus were living together. Christians were there. Even Jews were there. But from the start of Pakistan, everything was done against the civilized ideology, civilized culture, and human rights. Women rights were totally taken away. And then when we saw the Islamic laws forced in Pakistan, those laws are also coming from the people who were trained in Jamaat Islami or who are part of Jamaat Islami. Today they are hiding somewhere. They will not claim that we wrote those stupid laws which have blackened the face of Pakistan and has put him in a condition which means it will never come out. पाकिस्तान कभी भी इस अजाब से बाहर नहीं आ सकता क्योंकि मज़हब जो है उसने पाकिस्तान के सारे जो पाकिस्तानी हैं उनके दिमाग के खलियों को मुंजमद किया हुआ है. They are not allowed to forget about talk. They are not allowed to even think. If you tell somebody that Mecca is fake, he will come and start beating you, or maybe he will kill you. But it will not be the son or daughter of any mullah. It will be some poor man's son. They will incite him, and this is what the Maudoodi did. Maudoodi's writing, if you look into the book, it's nothing just a repetition of 200-300 Islamic books, Sirat, Sharia, and all that nonsense, which was created specifically by Abbasids so that their power can remain intact. Because, as I said previously, Muhammad's associates did not like him. They hated him. They let him die alone. They did not bury him for 3 days. And they dumped him in the same place where he died. And now we have Mullah saying, oh, I heard, Abu Bakr said, I heard that Muhammad said that the Prophet, wherever he dies, he has to be buried there. Nonsense. Abu Bakr did not come there for 3 days in the desert heat. And they were unable to give him a shower because his clothes were stick to his body. They cannot remove the clothes because they didn't like him. They didn't like his womanizing. They didn't like his attitude sometimes. That is why they all chose to ditch not only him, but his family. I mean, his daughters were totally ditched. His wives were ignored. And his cousins like Ali and this, they were running after for their life. Ali did not accept Abu Bakr as a caliph for 6 months. Then Umar came there with some gundas and then beat the hell out of him. They hurt Fatima, who died after a few months from those wounds, because the Muhammad was used by Arabs, Arab tribal leaders. If you look into life of Muhammad in Mecca, when Khadija was alive, nobody could ever misuse him. He was preaching in a very nice way for almost 10 years, 10, 12 years. There was no problem. Problem only started when the Muhammad moved to Medina on the insistence of his friends like Abu Bakr and Umar, who said that Medina is more fertile for us. They went there and then all hell broke loose. In the Medina's 10 years, they made 93 attacks on neighbors and towns and far off places, subdued them, took their men as a slave, took their camels as a property, took their women as slave girls, and this is what Maududi was spreading. We have many mullahs in India who wrote on Muhammad because they had nothing else to do. Instead of writing the great civilization they were living in, although they were Hindus and uh, Buddhists and Jain and some other, but the place they lived was the place they should have been proud of because that place created great philosophers, great thinkers, great poetry, and fertile land created a prosperous country. But these mullahs, who were Arab slaves, or I call them Arab Dallahs, they actually were agent of Arabs. And if you look into their history, like Maududi, he used to call him Sayyid as if he's from the family of Muhammad. Absolute nonsense. His parents were from Hyderabad, and Hyderabad, the only Arabs which came to Hyderabad were Yemenis, hired by Nizam, because Nizam was another crook. And ultimately, he was the reason why Muslim empire were out of business in India. And those people hired by them because they were came from Yemen, most of them became mullah, started madrasa and all that nonsense. And Abu Lala Mududi used to call him. He was, as a matter of fact, might be from a Bangi Yemeni family who had no job in Yemen, so they came to India and joined Nizam Hyderabad's protection force. And from there, these mullahs spread, calling themselves Sayyid. Then we have another gang of Sayyid which came to Punjab, and they were Ismailis. They were also not Sayyids, and they were bigger crooks. And today, Punjab is in their hand. They have strangulated Punjab from bottom to toe because they own billions of rupees of land over the hundreds of years they took from the poor farmers. Never worked a day in their life. And the poor people of Punjab are working for them to make them rich and have a great life at the cost of poor of Punjab. So the coming of Maududi in Pakistan has been one of the most dangerous reasons why Pakistan could not stay at its correct route, the route where he should have been a secular and civilized country, which it was. The civilization in Sindh, in Punjab, some way, and in Balochistan and KP was pretty reasonable. Nobody was killing. Nobody was creating the terrorists. Nobody was creating these stupid followers of 7th century culture. Hubbe Rasul or Hubbe Allah, and now Supaya Sahaba and Supaya this, killing each other, while the Arabs are laughing and they are getting rich from these stupids who go to Mecca and Medina and spend billions. I have said many times Pakistan's economic situation is because of these gang created by Islam, by Saudi money, by Jamaat Islami and Maudoodi's terrible work. And the reason why Pakistan cannot progress is because they are losing almost $10 billion to Saudi Arabia and UAE. If the Jamaat Islami had not conspired against Bhutto, and if Bhutto had lived for another 10, 15 years, Karachi will be Dubai before Dubai. This is how smart he was. He had some problems, but he was the great leader of Pakistan. And then we got into this military gang who are not even Pakistanis. These are alien army. And if you compare them by the other armies who have lived in this area, you will see the golden era of Punjab is when Punjab army was there. Did not do anything. Did not took any free plot. Did not make any plaza. Did not make any marriage hall. Only just took their salary, did their work, and left. And all the money stayed in Punjab. Whereas this GSQ gang is taking out all the money, buying islands, buying Papa John overseas, buying palaces in Belgium. None of the Pakistani journals or chief army staff are in Pakistan today. They leave the country as soon as they are retired because they know they came to loot and plunder. British Army did not do that. I talked to many senior people in military, and they said the time of British was the best. Discipline was the best. Britishers were fair to everybody. If the Britisher did a crime, he will have the same punishment as an Indian. No favor. Today, this killer military gang is killing people and they are getting away. Not even a single case can be put in courts against them. They attack the prime minister and then they do not allow to even file an FIR. That is why it is very necessary that this country is dismantled, put in pieces, and civilized system of government is established there. Under this current situation, under this current military, everybody is doomed. 240 million people will only have hunger, hunger, and hunger. There is no solution to it. Think about it. God bless.